Dearest Mother, I hope this letter will reach you. I have spent these past years in torment, trying to piece together what remains of fractured memories. What I am about to recount to you will seem beyond comprehension, but I beg for your patience.
It's that time of year, everybody, which means it's time for every gaming-related channel out there to start doing something horror and or spooky-related, and I will fully admit that I am no exception to this rule. However, I am adding my twist to it by talking about a game in a genre I've reviewed many times before, one that I have a bit of a pattern for appreciating more than most. That's right, we're talking about a point-and-click adventure game. Although this one has a lot less adventure in it, so maybe calling it a point-and-click horror game or mystery game might be a bit more fitting. As to why that is, well, stick around and you'll find out. It's time to get spooky and bewly. This is the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow.
Do you know Mr. Shoulder?
That be none of your business, lass. I don't come to your city poking around asking questions, do I? Man just wants to enjoy his ale in peace.
I take it you are not enamored with the railway station.
Bewley's gonna be swarming with outsiders, like you. We don't want you coming here. It's as simple as that, lass.
Why not?
This is our town, our land.
I assure you I am not here to cause trouble.
We'll see about that, won't we?
Welcome back to the land of pixel art, everybody. I hope you enjoy it, because you'll be able to see every single spooky pixel with how compressed this game's resolution is. Seriously, this is one issue I have with some of the games Wadjet Eye publishes, and it's that these games are designed to be played on an old CRT desktop monitor in terms of resolution despite being modern games. And because of that, the game then just stretches the image to take up more of the screen on higher resolutions, making every single pixel placement far more noticeable and sometimes throwing me off. Such as when our main character, Thomasina, is sitting on her bed. It always looks like she's smoking a cigarette because of one little wall pixel that ends up right next to her face. Aside from this more technical issue I have, the art style is actually used in pretty clever ways. Since you're in one little hub area for pretty much the whole game, you get plenty of time to know exactly how each zone looks, making it way easier for you to spot when something's different that you should investigate. There is the occasional pixel hunt simply because there are objects I didn't know I could interact with, but thankfully the spacebar opens a menu that marks everything I can click on, so it isn't too much of a hassle. And the music really does its best to ensure you are unsettled at all times. Even just strolling through town or the moors, there's always this ambient sound or lack thereof that makes everything feel just a little bit off until you finally get a scare shot. Speaking of, wow, this game loves close-ups, some of which are not only pixel art, but also occasionally rotoscoped from the looks of it, and wow is it unnerving to look at. However, these close-ups are the scariest thing you'll see for a good while, since the game is a bit of a slow burn. And that means I need to get on to discussing the story. Like I just said, the story of Hobbs Barrow is a very intense, slow burn. One playthrough for me lasted about 7.5 hours according to Steam, and I recorded about 3 to 4 hours of that. So nearly half the game. Yet you'll barely see any actual scares in most of the footage. You'll instead just see me walking around talking to people and solving little puzzles here and there. And that's because the actual scares don't pick up until way late into the game. For the first half of it, you're mostly just getting the tiniest hints that something is off until you finally get a bizarre dream that really kicks the mystery into gear. While I feel this may turn off a lot of players with how long it takes, I do appreciate that they use this slow pace to effectively ramp up the tension over time with more and more implications that something darker is afoot, until it eventually becomes too late to leave it be. I won't spoil the ending or anything, but I will say that I am disappointed to learn that the game has only one ending. All of your dialogue choices and warnings that other characters give you all turn out to really mean nothing beyond the occasional new line of dialogue. It's disappointing since the final day of the game really feels like it's giving you a choice on how to proceed, like this is your big moment before the point of no return where you can decide what your fate will be, only for that choice to be denied to you. You're told to leave multiple times throughout the game, yet you never actually get the option of doing so, and it feels like a letdown, especially since that's where the game could have excelled given how its genre is known for rather basic gameplay. Speaking of, let's get to that.
Thank you for your time.
Lord be with you.
Very sorry.
I'll be honest, the gameplay here isn't exactly anything special. It's your standard point-and-click game. Exhaust your dialogue with NPCs, pick up items, use items on various objects or people in the world, or combine the items before then using them on people or objects in the world, all to solve various puzzles that are blocking you from progressing. It's extremely standard, but there is something about the way it's designed that I appreciate here, mainly that they managed to avoid moon logic almost entirely. The game is very simple in its logic. People will pretty much explain to you what they need help with, and usually it'll involve items and people that you saw or referenced previously, so you mostly just get those aha moments where you go back and solve the puzzle while thinking you're so super duper smart. There were only a few times where I felt truly confused or lost, and that was usually solved by just exploring and experimenting, aside from the occasional pixel hunt, which is still hard to avoid even despite the devs' best efforts. All in all, gameplay is decent for a point and click, just don't go in expecting anything totally innovative here.
I waited for what felt like an age. I now realised that Mr. Bryden must have been in a great debate with himself, wondering whether or not to share his own piece of the mystery with me. The goat stared at me, seemingly in pity, as I stood there in that rolling fog. Finally, Mr. Bryden emerged.
And that is the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow. If you're looking for a spooky mystery game to play this Halloween season, and especially if you're into the more eldritch side of horror, then this game is definitely for you. Other than that, if you're not already a point-and-click player, I don't think this game is going to convince you, but it's still enjoyable for me. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later.